We have some breaking news tonight and a chilling mystery out of North Carolina. A suspect is now in custody in the killing of a 25-year-old woman named Heather Williams. Williams was last seen leaving her parents' home in Fayetteville the night of January 4th. In this ring cam video, you can see as she walks out the front door, walks across the lawn, and then gets into a gray four-door sedan driven by a then unknown person. Police would find her body in a wooded area 6 days later. Heather was almost entirely mute after being hit by a car in 2015 and spending months in a coma. Her family says she was learning how to talk again and walk, but injuries left her, her brain injuries left her overly trusting of strangers. Police say the suspect, Terrell Searmans, was arrested today and charged with first-degree murder. They also say he had just been released from prison for robbing, kidnapping, and shooting someone who actually survived. I'm joined now by Mary Williams, Heather Williams' sister. Mary, thank you so much for being here. I'm so sorry for what you and your family have gone through. And this is such a late-breaking development with the arrest of this suspect. And it's actually someone you had spoken with right after Heather went missing. Can you tell me about that?
Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for having me and covering Heather's story. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how this whole investigation unfolded. Last week, we checked the security camera footage and saw on Sunday morning that Heather hadn't come home and that she had left that night getting into this unknown vehicle that we had no idea who it was that picked her up. So immediately after filing that missing persons report, my mom tried to pull up her phone records on Verizon to see who was her last point of contact. And when we saw that last 3-minute phone call to that unknown number, I went ahead and dialed it and gave him a call to see who it was.
And what was the conversation like? What did he tell you?
So I had asked him, I told him who I was, that we haven't seen Heather. I asked him if he had picked her up or been with her recently. He did tell me that he did pick her up, that he had met her on Facebook, and that he couldn't tell me which night it was he picked her up. He couldn't remember, couldn't even tell me what they did. So I tried to pry. I said, "Where'd you go? What'd you do?" He said that she wanted to be dropped off at another location. She asked to go to somebody else's house the whole time. And so that's where he took her, dropped her off at somebody's house. So I asked him, "Well, what kind of car do you drive?" And he said a red SUV. And I said, "Well, can you send me the Facebook messages between you guys if that's where you were communicating at, or the text messages or something, so I could see what day this happened at, so I can see if it matches up with the day we last saw her?" Well, he didn't send me anything. So then I sent him a screenshot of that recording where we have the car in the picture. And I asked him, "Is this your car? And did you pick her up in it?" And he did finally come back and say he picked her up that night, but that he was using his friend's car, so that he wasn't lying about driving a red SUV, but that he was borrowing a car that night.
Wow. So you shared all of this, obviously, with the police. Were they able to take the ball from there and then lead to the arrest tonight?
So I asked him what his name was, and he would only identify as Zag, and that's all I got. So I sent the number over to the detective with the screenshots and told her about our conversation. Obviously, this was before we actually found Heather. So when she got all that, she ended up going questioning him, seizing his vehicle, and searching his car that last Friday. And on that same day, that's whenever they were led to Heather's body. And so between last Friday when they found Heather and, today when they made the arrest, I'm sure they were trying to put together all the evidence, within his car and in the woods and found on Heather. It's horrific to even think about.
Mary, I'm so incredibly sorry that you're talking about your sister. Do you think that they were led to her body by the suspect? Do you think he coughed up details and took them there, and that's why they could find her?
So I honestly thought that it wasn't him because after Friday of them searching the car and they didn't make an arrest, even after finding the body, I thought, well, maybe it wasn't him, because again, that was Friday and it's almost a week later. I did see where the arrest warrant was taken out on the 14th, 2 days ago. So I believe that they found probable cause in between Friday and Monday or Tuesday, and then it just probably took time to bring him in. So I don't think that he actually led them there. I think something they found in the car is what led them there to Heather.
Maybe there was GPS. I mean, that's often the case. That's something
Yeah.
a lot of the newer cars have. But we were just looking at some of the pictures, Mary, of you and Heather together on the beach. You look like twins. You're so similar. And I'm so hurt for you in your loss. You must feel angry about the fact that he was let out of prison for doing something violent and perhaps almost similar, but for the fact the victim survived.
Yeah, it's awful to see his record and to know that he's done something very similar to this and, did a stint in prison and was able to be back out on the streets. Um, Unfortunately, it's just the world we live in where you want to give people the benefit of a doubt and you want to think they can be reintegrated back into society and make good decisions. And it's so hard to believe that there's evil in this world that exists to do these kinds of things to people. And so, I'm not angry at the justice system or at the people who, didn't keep him locked up. I'm angry at him because he's who to blame. He's the one that made the decisions. And, other people shouldn't have to answer for his actions because he's the one who did this and he is the one with evil in him.
You are a very strong young woman, Mary Williams, and I just want to send you our thoughts and our heartfelt prayers for your family and what you're dealing with. And I hope you get justice in this case. Thank you so much for sharing your story and Heather's story with us.
Thank you so much for covering it. We appreciate it.
That's Mary Williams talking about her sister, Heather Williams, and an arrest made tonight in that case. We'll keep you posted on the case as well. And thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.